I didn't go down like I didn't do a Pacquiao Marquez, but I think I did a Pacquiao Mayweather. So
That's terrible, man.
it was a decision. I lost the decision, but
You lost a unanimous decision.
I lost unanimous decision. But I'm gonna try better tomorrow. So hopefully, I don't need nine. I don't need nine.
Shoulder or something?
Yeah, I don't need 9 to 12 months. Man,
You had a bad shoulder or something, man?
It won't take me 9 to 12 months to recover, but
Okay.
and I ain't trying to steal people's money.
Right.
Like the thievery from Pacquiao and I don't know. I feel like Mayweather
You didn't get your money. You didn't get your money stolen. Y'all made a donation.
pretty much to the Pacquiao Philippines relief fund and the Mayweather lawyer fees
And I mean, shoot, man, that's
and the
So that's
Bob
what-
Arum retirement fund.
so that's what we supposed to believe now, that he wasn't throwing punches because his shoulder working.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I won't say that.
I
I'll
believe
say
he was hurt.
I believe
I
he was
believe he was
hurt.
hurt. But,
Yeah, I believe he was hurt. But the bottom line is, you go out there, they ain't, it's still no different than what Shaq used to say. When you step on the court, then it doesn't matter there's no excuses. So, but I also feel like Mayweather is in control of his career 100% down to the very last detail. And he knew it too. And, it's like he cut Pacquiao a break, but he also said, shoot, we can't turn back on this now. We don't, it took this long, but, if they would have backed it off because of an injury, in my opinion, I would have respected that and said, okay, well, I mean, we done waited this long. Why can't we wait another, some more time? Because we don't know if the injury got worse. It could have been a 5 or 6 month recovery time. Now it's a 9 to 12 month recovery time because he fought. So we don't know, or we think it was that I'm saying that it could be that long because he fought. It could have been 3 months of all we know, but he fought. Now it could be worse.
When did they say that? When did they say the injury?
2 weeks early, 2 weeks before the fight.
How? Like he overtrained or what? I mean,
I don't know.
Sparring once. I've heard different things. 2 weeks to up to like a month ago. I think we're getting a lot of jumbled news on it. But to be honest, I don't know what happened. I don't particularly care. And to those who are, I mean, if I hear the word we waited for, I'm liable to headbutt somebody. To be sure, I mean, if you can't really tell me about talk about my man from Nebraska, Bud. If we can't talk about that, then you ain't been waiting 5 years. You just been sitting around looking for an excuse to have a fight party, and you got one. It was a fight where 2 guys got in the ring. You paid $100, and all of a sudden it's boo, 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 boo. Oh no, boo, boo, man. Y'all ain't been watching no fighting. Don't tell me about what's a real fight and what's not a real fight.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like, I was looking at it like, who else is out there? And then I read Dan Rayfield's article.
Plenty of cats out there, especially.
And I was like, well, it made, when I read it, and I know who wrote it, I was like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was at first, but and the funny thing is, Prev, I knew more of the cats that he was mentioning than I thought. I was like, okay, so I'm not totally oblivious, but I was like, the one thing, because I remember watching, I lost his name, the guy that fought, that they're saying that should fight Klitschko. I actually watched his last fight that was on TV.
Yeah. And it wasn't really a good fight itself, but it was kind of humorous.
Well, he dominated the dude, but I think that boxing should just back off of the pay-per-view stuff and get back to HBO Showtime stuff. And I think that would help a lot of people. I know for me, if you start putting them on HBO Showtime, I have a feeling you're gonna have that many more people trying to watch these things than
So you
trying
watch
to
it
have
Saturday
pay-per-view.
night? So
You know what? When I
HBO?
found out, I do. When I found out who was boxing, I was like, you know what? I very well may try to watch that because I didn't know they were fighting on Saturday. So I was like, shoot, I might actually watch that.
Kirkland and
Yeah,
Alvarez? Because I was more hype about that fight than I was about the Pacquiao Mayweather fight.
aren't they
I can
top?
see
Aren't
that.
they?
I can
Yeah,
see
I
that.
mean, it was, and that's why I was like, I don't think boxing should ever do pay-per-view. Just don't do pay-per-views for a while because I have a feeling that part of and then you hear Mayweather come out with the rematch thing. With the way this match went, I mean, Mayweather did what he did. It's Pacquiao that changed up. But with the public reaction, it would probably do boxing good to not even have any pay-per-view bouts.
Well, yeah, I'm not really sweating whether they should do pay-per-view or not because a lot of it's like I've been saying ever since Saturday night. The main thing that most people is mad about first and foremost ain't really Mayweather winning the ring and he was Floyd Mayweather. Be bare bones honest about it. What people is mad about is good guy Pacquiao lost to bad guy Floyd Mayweather. And let's
Ask Robert Flores.
And I got
right.
And
lied. And lied about it. It ain't lied about it, is it?
And lied about it. Look, here's
So
the deal. We all know there's a special run in hell reserved for Floyd Mayweather one. I mean, let's just get that out the way.
Right.
He is next to impossible to root for. I mean, you can respect the man in the ring, and I've seen a lot in the ring to respect. I don't care if people say, well, I don't like his style. Okay, that's fine. You don't like his style. But at the same time, it's his style. He ain't going to change it just because you don't like it. He ain't going to get in the ring and stand right in front of Manny Pacquiao and say, okay, after 47 fights, I'm going to let you hit me. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. You knew what you were doing when you took your credit card out and said, I wanted to fight. Not you, Jason. I'm just saying. People out there doing all that whining. Yeah, people out there doing all that whining. Y'all knew what you was doing. But you also knew you also knew you had the spades table over there. You had the drinks over there. You had the chili over there, the chitlins over there, and whatever else y'all was doing. So don't whine about that fight because you knew what you was doing.
Did you say chitlins again?
I did.
He did. You know what's funny, Prev, is that Teddy Atlas brought up a good point. He said all the folks that were at this fight, it was like watching people. He said, "Have you ever seen a hedge fund?" He said, "All these people." He said all these people got hedge funds. He said, I know everybody. He said everybody at this match that's sitting in this arena right now, if they cancel the fight and reschedule it from 6 months from now, they could come back and be fine with it. It wouldn't be a big deal. He said got private jet parked out, got a private jet traffic jam.
Yeah, private jet traffic. And look, and not one of the people in that arena sitting in the lower tier complain not one bit unless they just really had their heart set on watching Manny Pacquiao win.
Right.
Yep.
Think about it. Not one person that was sitting in that lower bowl got up and had to press their own clothes.
Not one of them.
Nobody got up and pressed their own clothes.
Obviously, Denzel wasn't trying to. Denzel was making sure that was going to happen too.
Yeah. Denzel said,
came out there.
He said, "I'm gonna come out looking like everybody else. I'm in disguise.
Like,
I'm in disguise."
Nobody else looks like Denzel.
He was looking like somebody's dad at graduation day. That's what he was looking like.
They won't
walk up there.
They said he was filming a Western, and I'm like,
Western what?
The Magnificent. He's filming the Magnificent Seven.
The Magnificent Awful. That's what it looks like.
They are clowning him on Facebook.
Shout out to Denzel.
They are clowning him on social media like crazy.
They did one of those Rob Lowe joints where they had a picture of him looking smooth, like
Yes.
Denzel and not direct TV, and then they put the picture of him the way he looked at Vegas. I'm something, Uncle Denzel.
This is Uncle
Not have cable.
Denzel.
Oh Lord.
Speaking of which, how was y'all's cable connection? Or what were y'all watching on?
Oh, we was at Dollar's place, man. Dollar was
Yeah.
What did he have?
Luckily, we wasn't at the
I
at the
don't know what he
Philippines.
had, actually. I don't know what he had.
Yeah, because all the I saw a lot of Facebook posts and some text going on. Pretty much in this area, almost everybody had the fight that was rocking cable. And we went over to a house that had the cable. It wasn't coming in. Found somebody that had direct TV, and they had it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, man. Me and Pete had this conversation yesterday where I was like, it's amazing how polarizing this fight got.
Yeah.
Without that same sort of 1970s Ali, Frazier, or even or even Holmes Cooney, the Great White Hype
Right.
and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But this fight was because of the quote-unquote greatness of the 2 years in the making, blah, 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 blah. I don't think whether it was 5 years or 1 year, people were so polarized about how much they hated Floyd Mayweather or how much they loved Pacquiao, take the pick. And when it happened, it's like, you heard the story, 2 brothers, one dude killed his brother over the fight.
What?
No, I ain't that. What you talking about?
Yeah, it was they got in an argument after the fight and got killed his brother.
That's stupid. That's as bad as the
I'm
lady
just
that
saying.
killed the other lady over Auburn and Bama.
I would rather see somebody kill each other over Auburn and Bama than.
No, I don't want to see anybody do anything like that.
I would just say, which one you gonna take? But yeah, man, I mean, and then just the stuff, like you said, your boy Bayless, because I made a mistake and I recorded it because I be at work. I don't have a chance to watch that stuff like that. So I recorded it and I said before I watched, I'd said a prayer. And then I turned it on thinking I'm going to regret this. This is going to be 13 minutes of my life I'm not going to get back.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I'm like, I don't even know if this dude is faking. And I don't even care. But the stuff that's coming out of his mouth, and I'm like, the bad part is, I know he ain't the only one sitting there saying, Manny Pacquiao won the fight. He won the fight. Did you see round 4? He won the fight in round 4.
Round 4 and round 6. I think he said 4 and 6.
Well, I know Dallas scored the fight,
Mm-hmm.
and I scored the fight.
We tried to score. We scored it basically. I was close. I was probably around about the same as Dollar, but
Yeah.
I was being more generous than that because I didn't think it was that close, honestly.
Dollar was a little bit more generous than I was. I think the difference between me and him was he gave, I believe he gave Pacquiao round 6, and I wrote that I gave Mayweather round 6, but it could have been a swing round. It could have gone either way. So my card could have been a little bit closer at 116 to 112, like Dollar said his was.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people found a way to give Pacquiao 4 rounds. I gave him 3.
Okay. Yeah. Bottom line, I mean, like you said, it was just something. I mean, we've seen it. Regardless of shoulder hurt, whatever the cat. I mean, I don't know why people. You could tell people hadn't watched the Mayweather fight, or
You can tell people hadn't watched a lot of fights. Period.
I haven't watched much Pacquiao. To be honest with you, I've seen way more Floyd than Pacquiao.
I've seen a lot of Pacquiao highlights, but I've only seen one real Pacquiao fight, and I can't even remember which one it was. And it's
a good number of Pacquiao fights.
But the bottom line is, I didn't expect. What I expected to see is exactly what I got. After the third, maybe 4th round, Jay, you was there. We was looking at each other like, get ready.
Change.
The only thing that can happen. The only thing that can happen at this point is you're gonna wear Pacquiao down and knock him out. I was like, I don't really see Floyd. I'm like, he took some hits early, and it was like, That's when you got your most, when you're not fatigued and you got your most power probably, and Floyd is controlling the ring, regardless if the round that he lost, he still had control of him. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like he was never quote unquote in trouble.
He was never really
in trouble.
Real trouble.
Yeah.
No danger. And once he realized
that
now was Floyd. It's just Floyd doing what he does.
Now, Prev, you said you watched a lot of Pacquiao. Does he look different size-wise? Pete, I don't know. Can you tell, Pete? Can you tell the difference? That I haven't seen enough Pacquiao to know the difference from.
I wouldn't say he's less bulky than he had been in the past. Remember, these are little guys.
Well, that's what I was about to say. You can see he's a little bit smaller, but you can't put like on it like you would see a heavyweight falling down to a light heavyweight, or like a Lennox Lewis. No, he's smaller, but he's not like.
It's not like when Roy Jones bulked up to take on John Ruiz and then went back down to light heavyweight. It's not like when De La Hoya had gone all the way up to middleweight and then he came back down to welterweight to fight Floyd. He really fought. I think he really fought Floyd at super welter. So, I mean, there's a lot, in the history and commonality of these two guys that people weren't really discussing at all. And I'm like, it's amazing that the narrative that folks were writing about.
Right.
And then when it didn't come to pass, I'm like, well, there was a whole lot of indications that it could very well have gotten ugly for Pacquiao. There was a couple indications that he could have gotten lucky and landed a knockout punch. But for the most part, watching Pacquiao in the last 6 years. So now, I don't know about Jason and Pete. I'm not going to be that dude that says he was juicing. It won't be me. No, I'm not making that accusation. But right about the time where Mayweather was demanding the blood test as a fight requirement, you notice Pacquiao ain't TKO'd or knocked out nobody since.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, a little bit.
I was saying that with Pete. I was saying that with Pete earlier yesterday. I was saying, that whole wait time in between. It's almost like, was Floyd saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna wait till he get all that out of the system, and then he start fighting." And
I will wait till he get old too, because he's been taking some knocks.
Well, I mean, he might.
Mayweather's old too. That's why. How are you old?
Mayweather ain't been getting hit. Mayweather ain't been getting hit by like Pacquiao has been.
That's not his fault. That's not his fault.
No, it's not. Well, I'm just saying, you don't get better from getting hit in the chin over and over again.
Well, let me ask this question. And I think I already know the answer to it, but let me ask this question. Was Pacquiao the number one contender? No. I mean, I guess that's my point. Was he the best thing that Floyd could have fought at this point? The best
to be
opponent?
Honest, there's some significant. I think there are some guys out there that represent more of a challenge than Mayweather than Pacquiao did at this point.
So to that point, it was really all about closing the loop, and payoff, and everybody got sucked in. Well, not everybody, because a lot of people.
It's a legacy fight.
That's all it was. It was like it happened. That's it.
And if you don't mind paying $100 to see a legacy fight where Floyd Mayweather gets to be Floyd Mayweather, I don't think you got ripped off.
Nope, you sure didn't. I don't think it is. You just got an experience, and that's why I said when people told me they were going to the fight, I was like,
have fun.
Go to Vegas.
Vegas is nice.
Look, go to Vegas. Go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Don't go to the fight. Just go to Vegas.
People that went in. You know people that were in the fight, Pete.
I know a couple people that. I know plenty of people that went to Vegas, but I know a couple people mentioned they were trying to get in the fight, and I was like, why? Just go to Vegas.
Why? Right.
And why spend couple $1,000 to see Floyd? I mean, unless you are truly a boxing aficionado. I mean, if you're not into boxing, you just, like I said, you're paying $2,000, $3,000 to walk and see Uncle Denzel. That's what you were doing. You were not going to pay $3,000 to see that fight.
Well, the good thing, Game 7 was good. Well, talk about a Game 7 of the playoffs. That was the highlight of the night.
Yeah, it was a highlight, but it was only a highlight because it was the Spurs. Clippers ain't gonna do nothing, man. I mean, they did win the other night, though. Let me shut up. Right.
I
They
was
did
about to
win last
say,
night, didn't they?
giving no props,
Blake
man.
Griffin
Show
balling.
respect. Yeah, out here tearing it up.
Blake Griffin out here. Blake Griffin out here like I was an MVP candidate last year, guys. Remember that?
Right. I do more than jump over to cars now.
He didn't even really do that, but anyway. Now he rides in the car as his chariot.
Right.
I'm sorry, I got to interject with a name I forgot. Terrence Bud Crawford. That's the name of the welterweight that I was pretty excited about.
The dude from Nebraska?
Yeah, from Nebraska. Omaha. Okay, please go back to the NBA. I'm sorry.
Omaha.
Yeah.
He does his paper. He might have Peyton Manning walk out with him and take a selfie.
Now that it's back to boxing. Now that Cotto Alvarez fight. Now that I hope that's gonna be on HBO.
You mean Kirkland Alvarez?
Kirkland Alvarez.
I thought Cotto. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Cotto Alvarez was one of the fights.
They were negotiating, but it fell through. So now it's
Okay.
Kirkland Alvarez. Yes, that's actually on HBO, and I guess it's going to be an HBO fight, but HBO is going to run the Pacquiao Mayweather replay first, I think, and then Kirkland Alvarez.
I'll get a janky connection. Watch it because I don't even have HBO. Anyway,
I'm going to be in a hotel in New York, and more than likely I will not be allowed to watch.
No, you're not going to be allowed to. No.
That sound like that's a wedding anniversary, birthday, or something like that.
That's my cousin's wedding.
I was about to say you will not be. No, it's not happening. Oh man! So we talking about basketball now, man?
Yeah, y'all
My Cavs losing.
Well, your Cavs losing. I mean, why did they lose, Jay?
Well,
say it.
Yeah.
Say it. Say it.
Well, you know
It's
how
okay.
LeBron gets in the fourth quarters.
There you go.
Speaking of MVPs, Steph Curry just accepted his MVP in front of the crowd.
Oh, he did. Jimmy Curry, and the crowd is having
Curry. And Curry, right?
I call
looking
that
like his mama, looking just like his mom. Golly, you wouldn't even know that's Del Curry. You would have thought he was adopted the way he looked.
I call that MVP half the season. I said this dude's clowning this year. He's clowning.
Well, you know what I heard.
He's my favorite player to watch right now.
What I heard was interesting today. Greeny brought it up on Mike. He said, Steph Curry is the equivalent of from a dominant standpoint, he's the opposite of what Shaq was, being that Shaq was dominant down low, physically overpowering. You know, you had to double team him. Where with Steph Curry, he's on the top end, you know, in the backcourt, where he can dive, he can shoot mid-range 3-pointers, handle the ball, pass. You know, basically he's almost unguardable.
Well, but part of that being unguardable, we've seen a lot of guys that can handle the ball, you know, shoot certain things, but it's about how far you can shoot. His range is unlimited. So that means as soon as he get across the half court line, if you got a guy that's shooting 35-foot jump shots at 45%,
yeah,
you don't really need a handle to get to 35 feet. So now, but what I'm saying is, what people don't realize is, unless you have a scheme to stop a guy, to contain him in one area, and he does have a dribble, now he's got so much space between 35 feet and the basket to work. And if he can score within any of that range, he's unguardable, because once he gets to one spot in that whole court, he's going to shoot it. and half the time it's going, and every time he shoots it, it's going in.
But he can throw it from different angles. So you'll see Curry shoot traditional, but like the shot he hit over Anthony Davis, that was the hip shot. Like he didn't put it on his forehead and shoot it. He shot it up through his chest like a kid did. So I mean, I've seen him do that where it's like, I didn't know if people saw it. I was just like, what in the world? But
I don't think people know.
He doesn't lose the ball.
I
mean, he can handle too.
I don't think people realize what they're looking at. I mean, dude is.
The he's almost an old school player. It's almost I never saw Nate Archibald play, and I never saw Pete Maravich play as far as live. But I'm seeing
he's
tapes.
closer to Pete. He's
I've seen
closer to Pete.
tapes. Yeah, I've seen tapes of Pete Maravich where I was like, "Am I?" You know, I've seen. I didn't even know who Pete Maravich was till I saw the little TV movie they did called The Pistol.
Yeah.
So then I watched tape of him, and I was like, "Really? Like this dude was doing this from high school
in the 70s,
all the way through
70s, 80s, early 70s."
Right, because by the time I knew who Pistol Pete was, he was long gone. Like he was already dead. I mean, passed away. Because I was like, I've never seen this guy. And
he's basically he's basically tiny, but Tiny Nate Archibald didn't have the range, but he had the moves based on the time that he was playing. But his moves are more similar to Pistol Pete, but even Pistol Pete didn't have the range, not like that.
I got a question.
Go ahead, bro.
As a non-NBA, ignorant non-NBA person here, I was thinking to myself, because I was like, wow, the MVP talk for the NBA is, at a fever pitch. It's like that has brothers fighting up in the barbershop, which actually brothers will fight over anything in the barbershop if the NBA doesn't come up. But my point is, every morning I'm listening to Mike and they're arguing about who the MVP is, and I'm like, why is there this much argument over the MVP? So then I thought to myself, wait a minute, so who won the MVP of the NFL this year? Man, I don't remember. You all remember?
Aaron Rodgers.
I do. He was on my fantasy team.
Okay. So
I know what you mean, Prev.
You know what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
So explain to me, why is MVP of the NBA more of an iconic than probably any other sport?
Because
baseball's got like 60 awards for MVP.
Well, but the reason why, Prev, is because basketball is that one team sport where an individual can dominate. If you think about it, it's that one.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is it's a little bit more of a thing in basketball, because if that one person can stand out, then it's almost like an individual award, like you're the best tennis player or the best golf player, player of the year type thing. So, and the other thing too is when you have guys that are non-traditional candidates like Steph Curry and James Harden. I mean, for the last 4 or 5 years, we've only talked about LeBron Durant, and then you sprinkle in a Blake Griffin here, maybe 1 year, and this person here. Well, this year LeBron had a kind of sat out for a few weeks, and then a couple other people got hurt, and just that the other Durant got hurt. So when you look up and you see Steph Curry and James Harden doing what you're doing, it's a good talking piece, because now you got two people that are fresh to the game, to the forefront, right? We've seen James Harden, he's played in the Olympics, but now people really know who James, really know what he can do, because not only did he flash it in the Olympics, but he did it all year. So now people are going to start giving him even more props to being one of those top 5 players in the league. Steph Curry, a lot of people still didn't want to believe that he was that good. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, a 6'3", small frame point guard coming out of a college like Davidson. We saw him do his thing in college, but we've seen a lot of scorers in college get to the NBA and fizzle out.
Not athletically explosive like others. Yeah.
But that's football. You usually remember what teams do more often than an individual. I mean, that's usually the case unless somebody's breaking a record or going for a record like Adrian Peterson or Peyton Manning breaking a record. But other than that, if it's Aaron Rodgers had a great season, but compared to he didn't have a memorable great season. Plus when you lose in the playoffs and you don't make it to the final game, people don't remember you. Because it's all, people probably think Tom Brady won the MVP last year. Because they made it to the Super Bowl. Seriously, people are like, who the MVP of the league last year? Tom Brady. No, it was it Tom? No, it was Aaron Rodgers. Oh. Okay.
It'll be Tom next year.
It'll be Tom next year?
Yeah, it'll be Tom next year. Or maybe it won't.
Oh, man, it'll be Ryan Tannehill, baby. Ryan Tannehill.
Hey, with that team the Dolphins are putting together, it could wind up being Ryan Tannehill.
Dude, this is probably the most excited I've been.
Maybe it'll be Geno Smith.
Since the year that Marino got hurt, we went into that year thinking, okay, this is a good team right here, and then Marino got hurt. So sorry to put that on you, Ryan, but just make sure you step down. Yeah, just step down clean every time, buddy. Step down clean. Yeah, man. Draft. I'll take my draft. I'll take the free agents. I'll take the whole Dolphins. I'll take everything the Dolphins are selling right now. I'm buying.
I think that was the smartest draft I've seen from teams in a long time. Nobody, especially the first 2 rounds. Now, the Titans took Dorial Green Beckham. I'm so interested to see how that's gonna go. As soon as he do something wrong, they can throw him under the bus. I'm telling you. As soon as he's out late one night and do something stupid, they throwing him under the bus with the quick.
As soon as he takes that first selfie, Josh Gordon.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Don't be a Josh Gordon.
Don't be a Josh Gordon.
Don't smoke weed. Like Rob Lowe says.
Again.
I'm responsible, Rob Lowe. It's almost like I'm the NFL's greatest or the best receiver in the league, Josh Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, irresponsible.
I go to practice and I don't smoke weed. Right. And I have Caden. Right. This Josh Gordon receives 200 plus yards in back-to-back games, first time in NFL history. This Josh Gordon drives a camouflage Dodge Charger around Cleveland and gets stopped by the police. This Josh Gordon is an all-pro and leads the league in receiving yards.
In 12 games.
Playing 12 games.
And this Josh Gordon only plays in 12 games because this Josh Gordon tells Johnny Denzel he doesn't have a problem. Don't be this Josh Gordon.
He told him.
He told Johnny, he said, man, why you getting soft, man? Going to that rehab, man? You getting soft.
Rehab's just suckers, man.
You a sucker, Johnny. You went to rehab, you punking out.
Rehab's for punks, man.
Right, rehab's for punks. Dude, you trying to be responsible now? You trying to be responsible?
You're killing me right now, dude. You're killing me right now.
You gonna go to practice at 2:00 like they said? Right at 2? Not 2:15?
You gonna be on time?
You gonna be on time now?
You gonna be 15 minutes early to the meeting?
Oh man, y'all selling
out, man.
He's selling out.
Why did the Cowboys didn't take it right back?
I'm cool with Duke Johnson. I think he's gonna be another McCoy.
Has he beaten up anybody?
But my point, yeah, that's right. Dallas only takes guys that.
Has he killed anybody DUI?
You know what? The Browns are turning in a different direction. Man. We got all high character guys.
How do you know?
Every guy they said they had no story. No, that was some mess. They knew that was some mess. He was the same as Green Beckham. How you get kicked out of a program you ain't even caught a ball for? I mean, you ain't even you get fired on your day off twice. Come on, man. You get kicked out of 2 programs where you even play, fired on your day off. You do not want them cats on your team.
Randy Moss. You saw the Randy Moss.
Yeah.
And you see what happened. Randy Moss is going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah. But that when they choose to put him in the Hall of Fame, he ain't going to the Hall of Fame just because he's Randy Moss and he's that. I feel he's that good, but he could have been better. He could have been greater than what he was.
I would probably be a grandfather before Randy Moss goes into the Hall of Fame. Yes,
he gonna get in
on
my
point. He is going to the Hall of Fame.
Veterans Committee. Last year eligibility, they gonna say fine.
He said Veterans Committee.
He's going. So maybe that's the key. Get kicked out of 2 programs before you catch a single pass, and that's your ticket to the Hall of Fame.
Man, that is hilarious, dude.
I'm just saying, man. Randy wanted to go to Notre Dame. They ain't work out. He started off at Florida State. Didn't make a practice.
Well,
It was a Marshall.
we haven't seen. Okay.
Chad
And he's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
throwing to him.
Okay. Let's
Chad
Chad Pennington throwing to him.
Hey. I like Chad.
I like Chad too.
I think that's the last time we made the playoffs. It's Chad Pennington.
Won the division.
Chad Pennington.
Yeah. Damn shame. Anyway. So Randy Gregory went to the Cowboys. That's interesting.
Randy Gregory went to the Cowboys, and your boy Shane Ray went to the Broncos.
I told
Why
you.
do I feel?
I
feel like
you.
I feel like both
What
of those.
did I tell you?
I feel like
you
both
went
of
along?
those. I feel like those are
I
targets.
remember Prem. I tried to tell you. Only one team.
Is it me or does it?
round.
It just
He
feels
going
like
in the fourth round.
But Jason said, hold on, Jason said what you said about Denver, though. It's like Shane Ray went to Denver.
Weed is legal. What are we talking about here?
There's no brainer.
It's a no-brainer, right? I just feel like this is. I feel like this is a train coming down the track with no brakes. I'm just looking at this like Jerry took Randy Gregory. Come on, now. Jerry ain't even. He ain't even prudent about his own behavior, let alone somebody else's.
Look, Jerry said that they have a support system in place.
Is it called the White House Part 2? Because was that a support system? Was the White House a support system?
I'll be honest, I think this is the Brown House, man. This is the same support system. They got Josh Brent. The same support system they had. What's the backup running back they had? That was skin and underwear.
Joseph Randall.
Yeah, Joseph Randall, same support system.
Who was still cologne and stuff out of their mom? Was that
Joseph Randall?
Joseph Randall.
Yeah.
Cologne and underwear.
Yeah.
So they've got the support
early Des
system in
Bryant.
place.
No, don't go Des Bryant. Hey,
Early Des Bryant.
Man, that was
Des
fun.
Bryant.
Man.
That's your old.
That's
That's your old GM that was wilding out on Des Bryant too, though, Pete. That's your old
I'm
GM.
Des Bryant. I'm Des Bryant with DirecTV, the one that catches miracle passes with one hand. And I'm Des Bryant on cable, the one that gets in a fight with his mama.
Yep.
Anyway,
Mama
the Cowboys
prostitute.
got-
Is
Stop.
your mama prostitute?
Anyway,
That was
the Cowboys
That's just stupid.
they got a support system. It's a support system, man. You got to trust the support system.
Jerry's World.
Randy,
They need to do a
Gregory gonna be-
documentary called Jerry's World and just go all the way back to Michael Irvin and the boys and work their
forget
way
a
all the way.
documentary. He needs his own reality series.
Jerry, Michael Irvin, Nate Newton, the whole gauntlet. Just do it called Jerry's World. That Jerry at the top, Jerry at the top with puppet strings.
Right.
How you
Go
gonna
get
puppet string yourself? How you gonna be a marionette of yourself?
That's what exactly. Have one hand on his head like this and one hand.
Right. Go get that boy, Randy Gregory. Go get that boy. We can take care of him. Yeah.
We'll take care of
We'll figure out.
We'll figure out something. We'll take care of him.
We'll hook him up with Josh's people.
Right. With Josh's people.
Yeah.
People
like-
I'm about to hit the bed, y'all.
I feel like it's just coming down the track. I feel like the train's coming. I'm just looking at Randy Gregory like, but he got Herm Edwards in his corner. But I'm like, how do you go from smoking weed like every day to Herm Edwards? Isn't that like a?
Well, where else is there to go?
But I mean, isn't it like that's almost like too extreme? It's almost like too extreme. It's almost like you got to work your way up. You got to work your way up to get to Herm Edwards. Herm Edwards is almost like it's too much. It's too much at one time for somebody that does that. I think.
I got to tell you, I wouldn't know anything about that because I've never had to make that decision between $1 million and
weed.
It's never been a decision process where I woke up. Is it going to be the weed today or do I get paid? I haven't had that, so I don't know.
We had to ask Josh Gordon and Shane Ray how that conversation goes because The weed,
Nah, I ain't gonna get on
the
me.
weed
I
seems
think-
like it wins all the time.
I don't know about all the time, but it's had a good run.
It's got a better winning percentage than some NBA, some coaches out there. That weed is
They got
23 out of
titles.
4.
They've got titles. The weed has titles.
That weed is,
Multiple
it's had a good
championships.
run.
Weed got some.
They don't won the title on Josh Gordon. They got at least a central division. They at least got a division championship with Shane Ray.
That's
They got somebody.
That's just absolutely terrible.
I'm just saying. Who else got a title from weed? We got a title off of somebody else. I can't think of who right now.
Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams.
Is the title on Ricky?
That's a
back to championships.
that might have been their greatest season of all time right there. Weed's greatest season.
Yeah, that's like
That's like the Celtics run where it was year after year, multiple suspensions.
that was like that year on the baseball steroids with who the two guys hitting all them home runs?
Sammy Sosa and
Sosa and McGuire.
Sosa.
Yeah.
No.
Weed and Ricky Williams. Sosa and McGuire.
No, I play England.
Right. Baseball been very, very, very good to me.
Yeah.
What? You spoke clear English with a very slight accent yesterday. Today, you say in one sentence in English? Come on, mate. Come on.
And tomorrow he be white.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Hey.
Oh, shoot, man. Yeah, I'm about to get off here, brothers.
All right, time to kill it.
Get me some rest. All right.
All right, then.
But all right, then.
All right, yo.
All right.
I'll holler at y'all.
Next time. Yep. Later.